Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the first episode of what we are going to call What You Think. And I'm joined by four of my really close friends today, and we are here to talk about the first episode of Marvel Studios' Loki.
Hey guys, I'm Melissa, and I just got really excited with the release of the Loki show because I'm a huge Loki fanatic and have been since the first Avengers movie in 2012. And Momo knows this very well, where I high-key just fangirl over him for such a really long time.
I hope you still have that Pop Funko I gave for your 2013 birthday.
Do.
It should be worth a lot of money.
I am never gonna sell that, no matter how much people will pay me.
Hi, I'm Fezzz, and I love watching a variety of movies and TV shows because it's my form of escapism from work. Same with Melissa. I really liked Loki when I first watching Avengers in 2012. I think he was such a refreshing and interesting character that I've never seen before. So seeing him dominate the world was really, really fun. I was so happy that he got his own TV show because I thought that it was too early for him to end his arc. Like, I wanted to see more of him. And I felt like his appearance in the MCU, they were great, but I wanted to see more.
Hi, I'm Jang. I to be honest, I didn't really like Loki at first. He was a bit weird. Like, he's a bit annoying at the start. And then, like, after a while, I started to really like him. And then in Avengers, he died. And then I was like, oh, okay. But then now that he's got his own show, I can finally like we get to see him grow more.
I thought the first episode was really good. It was really refreshing to see. And I think Tom Hiddleston did an amazing job.
The first episode was exceptional. I think when it ended, the first thought I had was like, oh, that was brilliant. How they built the world of this TVA and how they got Loki up to speed.
It had a few funny parts, which was quite good. I like how he literally watched his life go in front of him and everything. The pacing was good, and yeah, there wasn't really anything I didn't like about it.
I honestly feel like, especially since it's the first episode since we've seen Loki in such a long time. I mean, we've seen him in Infinity War, but he died like a few seconds in. So we technically didn't really see him, I would say. But I guess if we're just thinking about Loki as a show, in this current point in time, the Loki that we're seeing is the Loki that was straight from 2012, the Avengers part. So, before the entire character growth in Thor, The Dark World, Thor, Ragnarok, etc., I guess it was really interesting to see how Tom is portraying his character at this point in time, because he has to revert back to that Loki in time before all of that growth. And I just felt that, like, with the amount of comedy, I feel like comedy in regards to like the Thor universe really kicked in Ragnarok, because I felt like that was something Chris Hemsworth thought. And in an interview, he did mention that it was something that he felt should be the direction of their characters, and it fits. But at this point, I just kind of felt like sometimes with the amount of comedy going on for a character that's supposed to be a bit more, how do I say, like angry and
angsty.
Complex.
He literally just got
emo.
He got whacked by the Hulk. Because when we see him in Thor: The Dark World, the first thing he's with Odin, he's just resentful little child, I guess, bitter, who's just been humiliated. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, as much as I enjoy the comedy, I felt like it's hard for them to balance between the comedy of the new direction that the Thorverse is going into, as well as matching that to the character that Loki was in, like that mindset back in 2012. But I welcome it nonetheless, because who wouldn't love seeing Loki getting bullied a little bit?
That's a really interesting point. I never really thought about that.
Anything you don't like in the episode, Fezzz?
I actually loved the episode a lot. I did read online before watching the first episode because reviews for this show came in really early. A lot of people didn't like it because of the pacing issues, but personally, I like it. I think that the way they construct it is going to lead up to something really big in the final episode. So personally, I didn't have a problem with it. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
I just don't get how they are getting such good footage from the old movies. I'm like, did they download the movie somewhere? It kind of just pulls me out a bit. I'm like, so who took a
Um,
picture of the waitress from the Avengers? So there was a camera there.
Oh my god, yeah. They just
It's
stopped there, and I
oh.
was like, why?
it's a bit. It pulls you out a bit. You're like, What? So do they have Disney Plus in the TVA? So that's
It actually made me think about whether they actually planned this back in 2012 because they kept all of the footage.
the interesting thing is, if you notice, there was an additional shot of Loki in the elevator. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
guess I don't know what
Hmm.
happened there. They probably just put a green screen or something. But how they shot the 2012 stuff in Endgame is just, yeah, it's really weird because Loki does look older, especially when you compare him with Thor
Right.
Dark World. He looks so much younger.
Mm.
It does pull you out a bit. I love that device that they use to get you up to speed with,
Ah.
Loki. So he's not just, because that was my biggest worry with the show. It was like, so
Mhm.
he's still 2012 Loki, but all that development just kind of went away. But
Mm-hmm.
the device they used to just kind of speed track his development, but we still ended up in a similar place, but we took a different path. Yeah, essentially, like we still have that Loki, I guess, at the end of Infinity War, who's
Mm.
more coming to terms with who he is, the relationship with, he always felt very resentful towards Thor, and he felt unloved by Odin, but seeing his life play before him, yeah, that was beautiful. I actually was on the verge of tears a bit. I was like, oh, that's so sad. This is
Same.
Oh
amazing.
yeah,
This is
same,
good
same.
stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, for
Yeah.
me, it was just really interesting to see that Loki himself is pretty much aware. There was a line that he said that he doesn't enjoy hurting people. He does it because he has to. I can't remember what that character's name is, but Owen Wilson plays him, according to my
Oh,
research.
Mobius.
Lightning
Yeah,
McQueen.
Mobius.
Yeah, and he pointed out, he said, so you are aware. And Momo, when you said that, oh yeah, okay, so we kind of ended up in the same place. Loki ended up in the same place as well, just in a different route. I kind of felt like it has always been there, but it's just that he's never really directly confronted all of that. So I felt like this show is just really cool because especially for the viewers who kind of misunderstand Loki and just coin him like full on villain, like, oh, why do you like him? He's such a villain and like he's not a nice person. But I feel like this show will really open everyone's eyes to be like, no, he's so much more than that, which is what I've been saying for years. But yeah, I just can't wait for people to actually really see that he's just a diamond in the rough. He's just really hurt. And he just doesn't know what to do with things and his feelings, I guess.
I feel like this is a different side to Loki that we've never seen before in the MCU. We've never seen Loki emotional. And just that scene where he's seeing his like parents like dying in front of his eyes, it was just so heartbreaking. And shout out to Tom Hiddleston in that scene. His acting in that was so well done. You could just see it in his eyes that all the pain and like resentment and feeling unloved and also like kind of regret at the same time. I just thought that was so beautiful from Tom Hiddleston. I think he did an amazing job in that scene. Highlight of the episode for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like 7 years like worth of growth happened in one therapy session, kind of like he just went from like a very arrogant, annoying guy, then he just realized like, oh no, it's he's actually a very
Yeah.
caring person. He cares about other people, but he kept acting
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I don't care about anyone. I don't care about anything. And then after that, he realized, oh my God, I care so much. Yeah, it was quite crazy to watch. 7 years worth of emotions in one moment. Oh,
So kind of like Interstellar, I guess. I'm not convinced. I think he's confronted a part of himself that he didn't previously in the movies, but I'm not convinced that he's totally on the straight path. Even in Ragnarok, Loki being Loki, he is gonna try to do some backstabby things. So I would, and unlike 2012 Loki, he hasn't actually been through these. He's seen them. I guess you could say he's aligned himself, I guess, realigned his consciousness, if that makes sense. But I'm pretty sure in the next 5 episodes, we're gonna get some backstabby Loki to come.
Yeah.
because it's still who he is, right? He's still like
True.
that. He still likes to do that. It's not like that's gone. But now
Sure.
he knows all the things that happen, like that will happen to him. So
Yeah.
it's like he had like an epiphany moment. He thought like he's destined for great things, but then he just realized he just gets choked out. So it's like, oh.
I feel like also this is where
Was,
like he's the most like I feel like out of everything in the MCU, like in this show now at that scene, this is where he was the most vulnerable. He was the most emotionally vulnerable there. It was really
Mm.
cool to see that.
he also was the
Yeah,
most
for sure.
extremely traumatized.
Yeah.
Actually, we're going back to the dark world again. After Loki found out that his mother passed and died, we don't really see him really confront his feelings. I think he just like he hit
Right.
that barrier, and that was it. You know, he had more
Yeah.
for shedding tears for his mother and all of that, but it was finally seeing Loki actually cry.
He came to
as a
terms
character.
with something I guess he's trying to suppress or something he didn't
Mhm.
want to confront about himself. I think we talked a lot about Mr. Tom Hiddleston, who is an exceptional actor. So I'm just curious about what the TVA. I think one of the in this 45-minute episode, we are reintroduced to Loki and we catch him up to speed, or we're getting him up to speed, so he's back to the familiar Loki. But really, what impressed me the most was that animation that played that
Yeah.
introduced the TV in just like what 2 minutes, and you're like, oh, okay, so that's what it is. And especially expanding the multiverse, because in Endgame, as good as that movie is, it is really wonky how it's done. It's like, oh yeah, you just take off one stone and then there's a master timeline, but if you put it back, all's okay. So
Oh
what is
yeah,
it?
and like the Infinity Stones as the paperweights in that scene. I was
Oh
like,
my
Oh yeah, that was
god,
good.
yeah. I was like, what the heck?
Oh, but has anyone watched The Good Place over here? But that's what the
yes,
TVA
I
reminded me of.
have.
Yeah, it's like this very, I guess, darker version of the accounting department in The
Ooh,
Good Place. But yeah, I
ooh,
loved it.
that's true.
Yeah, I love the TVA, especially the background, the scenery. It looked beautiful. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited to explore that more in depth.
I love how they kept a retro theme from like the animation to the logo in the first episode showing Loki. I thought different text in a retro style was cool, as well as the set pieces, like the set pieces and the architecture. It's stunning, and I love how it's different from the MCU. And yeah, I just feel like generally the way they set it up, it's very different from the MCU, and I just love how it's kind of old school, but then merging with technology. I think it's really cool. Also, the music. Yeah.
I just find people from the TVA really interesting as well, particularly the part when Loki was threatening this dude named Casey and he didn't know what a fish was. So, um, so if they don't know what a fish was, it's like, okay, that's really interesting as a group. I don't know, they just feel like otherworldly beings, but they look like they're human beings. So I have no idea.
I can't remember her name, B15, the person who brings Loki into the TVA, the one who they have like a back and forth where he puts the collar on her. I love that dynamic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
With
was
the
really funny.
Zap thingy, yeah, good comedy from both of them, and of course Owen Wilson is just. I love that he's also trying to push Loki a bit, especially about his mom. I can't remember the line, but it was like you killed her or something. Like he's deliberately trying to push his buttons, and he has an agenda to find the other variant Loki. And I'll just say, because of the coronavirus, I am so tired of hearing the term variant.
Oh my god.
Especially with this variant, I'm like, oh god, please, no more, no, I don't want to hear that term variant anymore. But yeah, I'm so excited to see the dynamic between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston just
No.
bloom and grow and everything.
Yeah, Owen Wilson's character like definitely is a good, like they really have good chemistry together. So I really like that. It just felt really natural.
Ask you guys something. You know, when you watched the first Loki trailer and when Owen Wilson came out, did you guys recognize him? I didn't recognize him at all until like I went on IMDb. I'm like, oh my god, that's Owen Wilson. He looks completely different. I couldn't recognize him.
No, yeah, same here. I did not recognize him.
No, I recognize the voice because like Mcqueen. So I was just like, oh, it's
In the
my
first
god.
yeah, but I think it's the hair because you usually see him in that blonde.
I
What is it?
know.
That blonde cut. What was that movie he was in? I can't remember. But he's never changed his hairstyle except for Loki. But I don't know. I think in one of the behind the scenes you could see him in like the cowboy getup, and I think he had his blonde hair. But I guess we'll see. now we've covered the episode, let's talk about the future and our speculation. Obviously, with the end, why don't you tell us what you thought of, oh, we need to find this variant. Who? It's you. What a way to end.
Yeah, that's the thing. In that church scene, Owen Wilson was talking to that boy, and then
What was a
he
girl?
pointed. Oh, was it a girl?
Yeah,
A kid.
He was talking to a kid, yeah, and then he asked like, who did this, and then the kid pointed at that weird devil-looking thingy, and I was like, oh, eh. So then I was like, is it Loki or is it this guy? And then at the end of the episode, there was that hooded guy that set those guys on fire. So there's three different possible like who could it be? So like, but I like that it wasn't annoying. Like for WandaVision, at the end of every episode, you're just like, I want to know what happened. But this one is just like, okay, yeah, I can wait a week to find out who it is. It's not so
100%
like,
agree
oh
with
my
that.
god.
Yeah.
I think with the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, when it ended with I can't even remember, the flag smashes, and I was just like, okay, cool, I'll watch it because it's Marvel, but I wasn't hooked. WandaVision, I believe it ended with episode 2, and then with the beekeeper, and you're just like, okay, just tell me what's up. But I thought this one, the hook was like perfect. I was just like,
Yeah.
ooh, yes. But as to who's the hooded figure, I'm gonna give a guess. This hasn't leaked yet, but there was a guy in Rise of Skywalker. What is his name? General Pride, I think. So, and he's the guy who's killed Hux, I believe. Yeah, he's the guy who killed General Hux. So, I think he's probably the villain of the show because he just looks like a villain. But that's my guess on who the hooded figure is at the end. And he does look a bit like Loki, right?
Guess so.
A bit.
Like an older Loki.
I feel like a cheesy way the show would go is that if that variant is actually Loki, so then you'd have like the new Loki who's gone through like the whole epiphany and like character realization and all that stuff, and he faces an evil and dark version of him and be like, no, that's not how it is, guys. If it goes down that route, that's gonna be incredibly cheesy. But I'm
but that'd be cool, like an old Loki. An old Loki comes back, like, it's
a Loki wolf. That would be fun.
That'd be so interesting. I don't know, because I saw this on set and I saw this on Twitter in a while, and it could be true. I think it might be Lady Loki, because they did show.
What?
Yeah, like on Twitter they
What?
on Twitter they showed, I guess, leaks of Tom Hiddleston with a woman, and apparently Twitter was decoding it, and apparently in the comics there is such thing as Lady Loki, where in the comics after Ragnarok, apparently Odin had new children, and he had Lady Loki, and she's basically just Loki, but just a female version of Loki. So I think it could be that, because Twitter is predicting it a lot. So that's my
prediction.
prediction.
Be that, or like Loki is also a shapeshifter, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you. Wow.
I just realized.
Is everyone set on Lady Loki right now?
Like there was like the Instagram pictures of the premiere, because the premiere wasn't yesterday, but they posted pictures of the premiere, and they said, oh, Tom Hiddleston with, I don't know who the actress is, but they said
it's this blonde lady, right?
Yeah, they said this actress is playing a special role in the Loki series. So I think she might be Lady Loki.
So it's just Loki but a girl.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, apparently in the comics.
Imagine going to a red carpet and you can't tell people who you're playing.
Yeah.
You're just like, who are you? I can't tell you.
So it makes sense to have him being the guy from Star Wars to be an older Loki. Okay, cool. That kind of just put a lot of it into perspective. So Mel was very sad that Loki is no more in the timeline, but Tom Hiddleston, it looks like, is happy and willing to play this role for the rest of his life, it looks like. So do you think Loki would just, because he can't go back into the main timeline, he'd compromise the master timeline, so all he could really do is just become this sort of, I guess, live in another timeline, or he could be an agent for the TVA. So does anyone have any speculation as to where Loki could end up in season 2 or the future of Loki?
I guess the main point is just him finding his purpose. And I think that was the question that was proposed to him already in this first episode. Like, what is the god of mischief? And, what's his purpose, basically? And I don't know. I do feel like he might end up just being an agent for the TVA. that's what I'm thinking at the moment. But I'll be curious to see as to what other alternate paths he might take. If he might just end up going rogue again. But I don't know.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with
because
that.
in the end he's still like a variant. He's still like another variant. So technically he needs to just be killed, just like all the other like branches. So I guess it depends on how much people like the show. Like if it doesn't do very well, I guess they can just kill him because it's fine. But then like if people like it, actually he can continue like being an agent of the TVA and just continue doing his thing, just help maintain balance in the timeline. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Because aren't they developing season 2 already? Like even before season 1
I
was
think that was
released,
mentioned, yeah.
yeah, it
Loki
was
season 2.
already announced that they're developing season 2. So I think we're gonna get more of him.
Because really, I don't think he can't really do anything with Thor anymore, can he? Like, what
Yeah.
else is there to explore? It's like, he sacrificed his life for Thor, which he would not have done in the first movie. So I guess you could have a day in the life of both of them trying to manage. But really, I think he's better off now doing his own thing, exploring who he is, the inner conflict inside him, and coming to terms with who he is. So yeah. Can someone please explain to me how does the multiverse work? I guess so. There's a master timeline. So can there be like other timelines? I don't quite understand that.
There can be other timelines as well, but what the TVA is trying to do is that they don't want the rest of these other timelines actually really messing up with the actual timeline.
Yeah.
So that's why they need to be punished. So they're trying to prevent, I think, a disastrous multiverse from occurring.
So there are multiple parallel lines. So they're just trying to stop as the animation illustrated, any breakage or yeah. Okay.
Like how they put down when at the very start of the episode, remember when they grabbed Loki? And then one guy put down like a bomb on the floor, and then they
The reset
left before it
charge. Yeah.
exploded.
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna ask
I think
about that.
I think that just erases the branch, I guess. I think hopefully they'll get more into it because I'm like, how does it work? But
So this Loki is just
it probably yeah.
So he's just existing in like this space at the moment. So that's that's a really good cop out, I guess. Like, so that's what happened in Endgame essentially. So
how like Captain America, he told his younger version, he told him that Bucky is alive in Endgame.
Yes.
So since they put down that grenade and erased it, so I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
It's
gone.
Alive.
Exactly. Yeah, but so I guess it's gone. So it's good. It's all good now.
I guess the one thought I had at the end of this episode was that like no matter what, Loki is still dead, like in the actual timeline though, right? Like I just wanted to confirm that. All right, so I'm still gonna be sad then, but never mind.
With the other shows, you didn't really get a lot of references to the larger MCU, but with Falcon with the Soldier, you had like this continuation of who's going to be Cap. It's mostly character building and a bit of world building, but with this one, you are getting explicit references to, I guess, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So, does anyone think like Doctor Strange or Wanda Maximoff is going to show up in the final episodes of Loki, leading right into Doctor Strange 2?
I think more of Doctor Strange than Wanda.
I agree with Fezzz. I feel like Doctor Strange might be the one that's most likely to appear.
So far, in every MCU TV show, there is like one cameo. So I was going to ask, who do you guys think is going to appear in this? It may not be Doctor Strange. It could be someone else.
I don't know. I feel like Thor, maybe? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking as well. But
I have no idea. Honestly, I feel
No,
like
they could actually pop out anywhere, right? They could pop out anywhere in the timeline that they want. So they could actually get anybody they want. They can go anywhere. So
with this show, you could get like 2, 3, 4, 5. I wouldn't be surprised if we get multiple cameos. And I mean, technically, we just saw all the Avengers just now.
I guess so.
Yeah.
There's that. I don't know who got the camera and managed to get great shots, but yeah, I think Doctor Strange is definitely likely. Wanda, maybe the children, or maybe a villain, like how they did in Falcon Winter Soldier. But yeah, I would say for this one, especially with WandaVision, who's going to be the cameo at the end, and it was just White Vision. I've kind of
Oh my God, that was a laughing joke.
a lot of my expectations for who this could be, but I can't wait to be pleasantly surprised in the end. Also, I just want to. Does anyone know anything about DB Cooper, or is everyone confused?
Oh,
I was
I
confused.
googled it.
I
I was
googled it, yes, as
confused.
well.
Yeah, I was confused, and then I googled it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool and interesting.
Melissa, Justin, do you know who DB Cooper was?
No idea,
No,
but when he
Okay.
jumped out the plane, it was damn cool. So I was
So
like, okay.
basically, what happened was I just pulled up Google. So in November, the 24th of November 1971, basically exactly like you see on the show, this guy got on a plane. Apparently, he ordered like a bourbon and a soda or something, and he passed the note to the flight attendant. He was going to put it in the pocket, exactly like the show, and was like, "I have a bomb. Give me $200,000." And yeah, and he wanted like 4 parachutes or something. So yeah, basically they landed the plane, all the passengers got off. He kept some flight crew. Then when they got up back in the air, he just jumped out with all the money. And funnily enough, yeah, it's a true story, and no one knows who the person is. Interestingly, I was watching half of the BuzzFeed Unsolved Mysteries video or whatnot, and they found like $4,500 in like a bag on like a lake. Some kid found it, so people just
Oh my
assume
God.
that it kind of just fell off the plane. So that's kind of funny. Like, oh no,
Isn't that interesting that they
that
decided
is
to pull
interesting.
that, because it really puts the whole multiverse thing in perspective. It's
Not
as
only
if
that,
they
yeah,
actually toyed with our timeline.
that
So,
really is the god of mischief at work. With Marvel, I guess they could put out 3 shows in the span of 6 months, but still have us talking and intrigued. So yeah, does anyone have any final thoughts for Loki episode
Um,
1?
I think it's one of like the best starts so far in the MCU TV series. And it was just so refreshing to watch, from like the storyline to like the plot and to watching Tom Hiddleston portray Loki. And yeah, I can't wait. And I just have to also give a shout out to Marvel, because they put out 3 different genre of TV shows. So WandaVision was a sitcom comedy, Falcon Winter Soldier is like a buddy cop, and Loki is like a time heist. So I really appreciate how they're bringing us different content of different genre that they never get to explore in the MCU, and they get to finally explore now in a streaming platform. So I absolutely cannot wait to continue watching Loki and the other TV shows.
I really appreciate that Marvel is really branching out to give us a bunch of like TV shows in different genres. So wow, kudos to them. They're doing a really good job on that. I guess I just really appreciate that, Tom came back to really reprise his role as Loki. And as someone who's been waiting for Loki to have his own show for quite a while, so I'm really glad that it has finally come to that point this year, and I'm here for it. So yeah, and I guess I would just also really like to give a huge shout out to the script writers, I guess, for being able to write dialogues and stuff that really showed Loki as he was, from like a continuation of Loki from 2012, I guess, because that's really hard to put your mindset back all the way to 9 years ago, before all of that development and everyone, not just as characters, but as actors and producers, been through with this character. So I guess that's a really tough move to pull, but I felt like they did a really good job on that for the first episode. So I'm really looking forward to the future episodes for sure.
I quite like that WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier is just kind of isolated. So if you don't watch it, it doesn't matter. I do like that, so that it's more for the fans. If you want to know what happened to the Falcon and all that, you can watch these shows. But for like those more casual Marvel fans that just want to watch the movie, I quite like that they're isolated. So actually, I hope that Loki is kind of isolated, but at the same time, the story looks like it's going somewhere and it's actually interesting. If Falcon and Winter Soldier are just, but then like not boring. I mean, like it just ended up in the same place. But Loki, they can do whatever they want because of this time variant thing. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where it could go. Yeah.
So I think I
Yeah, I'm one
mentioned
of those isolated fans. So I've actually not seen WandaVision or Loki and all of that, but it's nice that they're all isolated. But I definitely will try to catch up with the other shows as well to get a bigger picture, because I think that makes it even more fun.
So I wonder
But
why
yeah.
you watch this show. Does it rhyme with Rom Middleston? I can't tell.
What?
Yeah, whoever's listening, if there's anyone listening out there in the internet, if you are, please comment. We don't bite. We actually love to know the sole listener out there. That'd be great. But yeah, I guess we're gonna see each other hopefully for the next 5 weeks, and whatever films that are worth talking about or anything random in the pop culture sphere, I'd be happy to meet you all again. So thank you all for listening, and bye bye.
Thank you
See you
guys.
next
Yeah,
episode. Thank
thanks.
you.